Video call.
Yeah.
We're gonna debate him.
Yeah. Hey there.
So,
Hey there. How you doing?
Hold on.
Hey there.
I can't hear him. Let me hold on, guys, in the chat. I'm gonna capture it. Let me hold on, guys, in the chat. I'm gonna.
Wait, do you not have like earbuds or headphones or something to eliminate the echo?
Window capture. I don't know what the fuck he's saying. Window capture. I don't know what the fuck he's saying. Add a new source. Discord. Add a new source. Discord. What is this? This is it. Okay. This is so fucking scuffed. So fucking scuffed. All right. Show your face.
You can see it on my stream. I only have one webcam. Discord doesn't let you use your same webcam twice. I can only use it on my stream or on Discord. I don't have a choice.
Okay. 1 second. Xander. So what's all this stuff? You calling me a Nazi, huh?
No, I'm saying that your rhetoric is very similar to that of a Nazi. The idea that any information that goes against your worldview is CIA propaganda, very much. You literally said it to me in my Discord or in my
No. What I said is that it's fabricated by the CIA and by the Nazis. I didn't say that this a priori means that that's the reason it's wrong.
No,
so
it's just like when Nazis. No, it's just like when Nazis say that any information that verifies the existence of the Holocaust is Jewish propaganda. It's the same fucking thing. I could link you article after study after fucking historical article, and you would say every single fucking one of them was Nazi or was CIA propaganda. I'm drunk as fuck right now. I've just come in here to argue with you.
Listen. I'm not going to dismiss your sources as a CIA and Nazi right off the bat. I'm gonna go through them with you. So why are you making assumptions?
I'm not here to argue with you about every fucking source. I'm drunk as fuck. I'm having a media share stream.
So I want to know where you get the idea that there was a genocide, intentional genocide against Ukrainians.
Sure, I'll explain my reasoning. So it seems
go ahead.
I assume you know this because you're a big old fan of the Russian USSR.
100%
right?
Stalinist gang. 100% Stalinist.
Okay, cool. So, do you agree with me on the idea that there was a combination of maybe mismanaged resources as well as natural disasters that caused there to be a famine during the time of the USSR?
Yeah, there was a fucking famine. There's no dispute about that.
Yes, there was a drought. There was tons of natural disasters that contributed to a famine. There was also the fact that
It was the collectivization that led to famine. No one denies that. And there was a drought. There was a lot of factors. But yes, it was also the collectivization. It was an agricultural revolution that distributed a fundamental means of relation to production. And just like all modern revolutions in the history of mankind, including the European kinds that led to disasters and famines and all sorts of horrible things, that was just stretched out in the span of centuries, and that led to what we call industrial modernity, especially in England. And in the Soviet Union, that was condensed into a time span of maybe half a decade, okay? I'm not denying there was a fucking catastrophe. I'm not denying maybe even millions of people starved and died, and it was a horrible thing. What I do take issue with, though, is the idea that the Soviet government was deliberately targeting Ukrainians for ethnic genocide, and that therefore it's comparable to the Holocaust. That's my fucking issue.
I never said it's comparable to the Holocaust. Also, let me just go ahead and translate what you just said to something that makes sense to the average audience. Essentially, what happened was there's something called the building up of economic. Sorry, I'm drunk as fuck right now, but I'm having a good time. Don't worry. You're a very, very fun person to talk to. It was called building up reproductive forces. Essentially, what happened was back then there was this big issue where what was to be Russia was very underdeveloped in regards to industry, right? Most of the people that were workers during this time worked on farms and participated in agriculture. The problem was, in order to develop this country or this new nation, they needed to have factories. They needed to have factory workers. They needed to produce products through industrialization. The problem is allocation of workers. They started allocating workers to work in factories and took workers away from participating in agriculture, which was the first step that resulted in this famine. Certain natural disasters also contributed to this, which resulted in a huge famine to happen. Now, I'm not saying that what happened with the Holodomor was anywhere close to the fucking Holocaust. My argument is simply that there does seem to be a little bit of evidence behind the fact that Stalin probably had a ideologically driven belief that there was worth in reserving resources that could keep them alive from the Ukrainians. That is what I believe. That is my opinion on the Holodomor.
Wait. Repeat that again. It was worth stealing resources from what?
No, during the Holodomor, when there was this big fucking famine happening, the government was rationing resources. They took food and things like that away from the people, obviously, as you do during a famine, and they redistributed them to try to keep the few resources that there were left and redistribute them to the people, trying to keep as many people alive as possible. However, there is evidence that suggests that Stalin had a ideological drive in keeping those resources that he was distributing to everyone else away from the Ukrainians.
Why? What evidence do you have for that?
Sure, let me go over it. I can bring up an article for you if you're not going to call it. Hopefully, you won't call it CIA propaganda.
Well, we're gonna go over it, and we're gonna see its primary sources, and we're gonna see whether it holds up.
Are you going to call them CIA propaganda?
No. We're just gonna see whether it holds up, and then we can conclude whether it's propaganda or not on that basis.
Is history.com, like from the History Channel website, is that you like CIA propaganda?
Listen. I'm a guy who I don't actually care where the source comes from. I'm just interested in the primary sources that it's going to refer to. Unless you're going to give me a primary source of some kind, which is extremely rare. All of these sources are secondary sources. I actually don't care if you get it from a random Google document or the history.com. I'm interested in where it's getting its primary sources from. That's
very interesting, because in the message that you sent me, you said that I was repeating CIA/Nazi lies about the Soviet
That's my
famine.
conviction. That's my conviction. That's my belief. But in order to have an argument or a debate about this, I can't just say it's CIA propaganda and Nazi lies. We're actually going to demonstrate why this is a logical conclusion to draw based on the fact that the people accusing Stalin of hating Ukrainians and wanting Ukrainians to starve and this deliberate genocide, we're going to demonstrate that this is a hollow, baseless claim. And then we're going to also refer to the origins of the myth and why this myth has become so widespread, in spite of the fact that from a factual, empirical perspective, nothing sustains it.
Sure. All right. So here's the page. This is the first thing that comes up when you look up Stalin opinion on Ukrainians. All right. So you go to the history website. Decrees targeted Ukrainian saboteurs.
Okay, it's working.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I'm fixing my Discord, which froze. 1 sec. Okay, let's hear it.
All righty. Meanwhile, Stalin, according to Applebaum, already had arrested tens of thousands of Ukrainian teachers and intellectuals and removed Ukrainian language books from schools and libraries. She writes that Soviet leaders used the grain shortfall as an excuse for even more intense anti-Ukrainian repression. As Norris notes, the 1932 decree targeted Ukrainian saboteurs, in quotes, ordered local officials to stop using the Ukrainian language in their correspondence and crack down on Ukrainian cultural policies that had been developed in the 1920s. There was a very clear ideological sort of, what's the word for it? Antagonism towards the Ukrainians, their language, their culture, their intellectuals. They viewed them as being sort of like saboteurs against the communist goals.
Sure. Okay, for context, during what is called the Stalin Revolution, there was a universal animosity toward all of the other Soviet republics, and they were calling it the type of bourgeois nationalism that was cultivated in the 20s. And the Stalin Revolution, which was this agricultural revolution that was happening in 32 and 33, was generally hostile against all of the nationalities of the Soviet Union, and the specific, because you have to understand that in the 20s, this revival of the cultures of the republics of the Soviet that constituted the Soviet Union was within a certain institutional frame, and this institution was being challenged by the Stalin Revolution. So there was an association of these people with the old legacy of the 20s, and so that's the background of that. I haven't found anything from that source that indicates there's a specific, unique targeting of Ukrainians divorced from this context I just described to you.
Sure. Let's continue reading then. When Stalin's crop collectors went out into the country, by the way, I want to clarify, when there's a fucking, natural disasters happening, we have a famine going on, I think it's reasonable for the government of the time to take measures to try to make sure that resources are properly allocated to help as many people as possible. But it seems like there was a particular effort taken to try to withhold these resources from the Ukrainians. Like every bit of evidence that I have seen has suggested that there was a deliberate effort to prevent ethnic Ukrainians from having what they need to survive.
Let's go through the evidence.
Sure, let's read over this then. When Stalin's crop collectors went out into the countryside, according to 1988 U.S. Congressional Commission report, they used long wooden poles with metal points to poke into the dirt floors of peasants' homes and probe the ground around them, in case they'd buried stores of grain to avoid detection. That's fine, obviously, if you're trying to collect materials and try to reproduce them, or try to redistribute them. Peasants accused of being food hoarders typically were sent to prison, though sometimes the collectors didn't wait to inflict punishment. 2 boys were caught hiding fish and frogs they'd caught. For example, they were taken to the village Soviet, where they were beaten and then dragged into the field with their hands tied and mouths and noses or gagged, where they were left to suffocate. As the famine worsened, many tried to flee in search of places with more food. Some died by the roadside, while others were thwarted by the secret police and the regime system.
Are you just going to read the whole thing? Or?
Yeah, why not? Do you feel like you want to defend any of this?
I'm not denying there was a famine and a lot of people were starving and stuff.
No, I'm curious if you want to. I'm curious if you want to defend the behaviors taken here. I'm curious.
What behaviors specifically?
The behaviors of taking 2 children that had found some like fish and frogs, pulling them out into the street and then suffocating them to death in the.
Well, it's probably the case, and I can't confirm or deny that specific thing. I'm in no position to deny it because I'm not familiar with it. But right off the bat, I can assume that there were abuses that were conducted by local officials, and even Stalin was aware that those abuses happened and were happening, and it's simply a disconnect between the central party and the actual people on the ground who are enforcing. It's a tragic, horrible type of thing, and it happened in all the communist states. There were local abuses that happened, but to say that this represents some direct intentional will on behalf of Stalin or the central party is ridiculous. Listen, even Mao himself in China, for example, acknowledged the fact that local cadres and stuff, they did engage in abuses and stuff against the people. But how could Mao, for example, embolden and strengthen the people and fight against those officials while at the same time upholding the communist order and defending the communist state from its enemies? Well, that's a dialectic that actually developed and played out through the course of the history of the Soviet Union. And we're not talking about China, but also China as well. You shared part of our video where we kind of touch up and talk about that. It was specifically about China, but a similar dialectic was happening in the Soviet Union. And Stalin actually did represent the peasants, as it would come to show during the Great Purges and later after World War II, against these type of low officials and bureaucrats who represented a more urbanized city and intellectualistic Marxists and socialists who had profound disdain for the majority of the people. So I'm not denying, of course, when you're engaging in something like collectivization, the people who are carrying out this collectivization probably do have some kind of animosity toward the peasant majority as a whole. But then the tables were turned against them, for example, during the Great Purges, and the peasants were empowered. It's a horrible tragedy, but this is the tragedy of modernity in general. You're naming all these crimes and these horrible things happening on the ground during an agricultural revolution, which was necessary for industrialization. But this is the story for literally all modern industrial powers that did so independently. England, the Dutch. You know about the whole fucking ugly story,
no,
right?
I would argue that in every sense that these countries did not handle industrialization nearly even close to as badly as the USSR did.
Oh, okay.
There are plenty of ways that you can handle industrialization without over allocating all of your resources and farmers and agriculture to fucking industrialization jobs, causing a fucking famine to happen. Don't get me wrong. There were natural disasters that happened that contributed to it. So you can handle this way fucking better.
You just made a big mistake. You just assume that the countries I described, the modern countries of, let's say, the from the 16th century onwards were socialist countries who were intentionally modernizing their productive forces and industrializing their countries. That's not how industrialization happened in any of the countries. I'm saying, though, that the background of this, what we call modernity and industrial modernity, was horrific, horrible shit that was definitely comparable to these horrible things that happened during the communist collectivizations of China and the Soviet Union. They were condensing the modern apocalypse within a span of maybe half a decade, whereas it was centuries of butchery and horror and divorcing of peasants from their original means of production, both within Europe and outside of Europe. You're just all of these things made industrial modernity possible. And yet, when the Soviet Union and China attempted to industrialize independently of the West, they were confronting similar contradictions and similar issues that they were. They were confronting this issue of, we need to industrialize to defend ourselves, but this requires a separation of the people from their means of production of some kind, which is a very ugly and violent process. And yes, leads to wide-scale famine in both cases, because when you're separating the traditional way in which people cultivate food and feed themselves, and you're emptying that into a type of rationalistic planning, there's going to be something lost in translation, if you get what I'm saying. In that translation, in that process, it's a very sensitive thing you're dealing with. You're dealing with how people feed themselves. So this revolution in the agricultural relations and the forces of production, tragically, yes, led to famine. But to say that this is some kind of crime on their part is the epitome of hypocrisy from my perspective.
Do you mind if I save you really quick?
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So it seems like what you're doing right now is, whether you realize it or not, is you're defending capitalism. The way that capitalism in many of these other Western countries that didn't participate in the communist statist bullshit, it's actually providing a defense, whether you realize it or not, towards these countries, because they didn't have these same issues nearly to the even close to the degree. They didn't have the not even close to the degree that the USSR did. So what you're doing is you're unfortunately, it's very unfortunate, overwhelming historical consensus, unfortunately, is contributing to a defense of capitalism. So I'm going to do something for you, dude. I'm going to do something for you, dude. I'm going to help you. I'm going to save you. Let me save you from the argument that you're making right now, okay? I'm going to save you right now. I'm just trying to save you, okay? Because you're making yourself sound really stupid, and I want to help you. I feel bad for you, and I want to help you, dude. I'm trying to help you right now. I'm really trying to help you right now.
You sound like a fucking idiot.
You're making yourself look so fucking bad. You're making yourself look so bad for a defense of communism or socialism. Come on, let me help you, dude. I'm just trying to help you. I just want to help you, dude. I'm trying to save you. I'm reaching out. You're hanging on the edge of the cliff, and I'm trying to reach out to help you, okay?
Are you done? Are you done? You know I'm going to demolish you. You know I'm going to fucking demolish you, and that's why you try to silence me. No, your fucking point is wrong if you ignore that this was stretched out over a period of centuries. And yes, horrific catastrophes, famines, and all that kind of shit was fucking happening in Europe. But even if we discount what fucking happened in Europe, ever heard of something called colonialism, you dumb fuck? And you thought that was a gotcha point? Demolished! Demolished! Done! Destroyed with facts and logic! Destroyed with facts and logic! Fucking idiot.
Can you please keep ranting? This is actually very funny.
No, go live again for your viewers. You just went offline because you know I'm gonna beat you. Go back on live so your viewers can see me beat you.
I'm still live right now. Wait, is my stream down?
Yes, it's down on Twitch.
Is it on Twitch? It's still up on YouTube, I think. I don't know. My Twitch, my fucking stream dies all the time. All right, hold on. Keep ranting, please. I'm really enjoying this.
You said I'm making the case for capitalist countries, which, by the way, your breadtube school of dumbass shit didn't teach you the fact that a self-enclosed system like capitalism didn't fucking exist in this period. This was a process of transformation, which is only vaguely the rise of capitalism through feudalism. So we're not talking, your notion of capitalism is itself very socialistic. The idea of having some kind of system which competes with another system, that's already presupposing some type of political relationship to the economy that you could say is socialistic. You're treating the economy as something that serves political and social beneficial ends and the general welfare and the well-being of the people, that's a socialistic type of logic. So let's drop this stupid argument. But second, it is really stupid to say that I'm making the case for the Western European modernity because of this same horrors were happening. Even if we discount the things in Europe, it was still happening with colonialism, which is a fucking disaster and catastrophe.
It's back up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think my fucking stream died. It's back up. Sorry, I was talking to my girlfriend. No, I want to help you out, okay? I want to save you, okay? You don't need to argue in favor of these, like, fucking authoritarian communist regimes, okay? You don't need to do that.
Okay, first of all, let's walk that back. I want to walk that back. You
don't need to go so far to argue against historical consensus, to argue against these
No,
things.
let's walk a few things back. That's a few things. You mentioning a few things.
Of the main concepts and ideas behind communism.
And you don't know anything about those is my problem. Let's walk it back, though. Let's walk it back. You said the authoritarian communist states. Listen to me, Xanderhal. You and BreadTube wouldn't know shit, wouldn't even be mentioning Marx. You wouldn't be mentioning socialism. You wouldn't be mentioning communism. All of these would be meaningless fucking words if it were not for the Eastern people, the authoritarian Asiatic despots you're kind of hinting at. They're the ones who carried it on their fucking shoulders and made it fucking relevant. The only reason Americans go around calling themselves communists is because of the power created by countries like the Soviet Union and China. You're basically trying to steal that clout for them and impress people with that power that you didn't earn. It was their power, not yours. There was no libertarian communist power. There was no libertarian communist anything. It's all fucking meaningless trying to use the Soviet Union's clout and use its reputation, of which Americans are familiar with, and you're trying to say, oh, I'm a communist, but actually you don't know what communism really means. It means a stateless, moneyless society. Why don't you own up to the meaning of this capital C word communist and just fucking say you appreciate.
Wait, what do you think of communism is? What do you think communism is?
Communism for Marx was the real movement that sublates the present state of things. A lot of people think it's abolished. It's not. It's a mistranslation. It sublates. Marx didn't talk about abolishing capitalism, which is such a silly and stupid thing to say. But anyway, if communism is something real and objective and material, then we have to refer to communism based on the people who actually gave meaning to the fucking word, which are the ones you're calling the authoritarian states. The only reason we're talking about communism is because of the experience corresponding to those states. There's nothing else. Those anarchists in Spain were just shitting up the fucking Spanish Popular Front, who were actually the real ones there. Same thing goes for all the other anarchists, true communists you want to refer to. Let me give you the background of BreadTube and libertarian socialism. During the 60s, a lot of these wet diaper youth generation were trying to rebel against the established Soviet communist parties. So they revived anarchism, which is a dead and done, completely irrelevant, stupid thing, libertarianism, just as a way of expressing dissent because of their disappointment, their Western chauvinistic disappointment against the Soviet Union and against against the experience of China and other authoritarian communist countries. They were literally just trying to rebel against them. They were trying to say, well, we don't like capitalism and we don't like the current state of affairs, but you know, the real existing examples of socialism and communism, we don't really like those, so we're going to do it. All came from the 60s. It's all bullshit created by the CIA, probably, and the fucking deep state. As for this stuff about, I got to defend the communist states, dude, of course we're against the fucking establishment and the establishment narrative. No, we're not the type of people who agree with the blue check establishment narrative. Yes, we are with those anti-establishment forces and all that kind of stuff. Yes, we are. And dude, by the way, I'm a Lysenkoist, by the way. You didn't even know about that either, huh? Fuck.
I have no idea what the fuck
Mainstream science is also bullshit. Mainstream science is also pretty much bullshit.
Wait, hold on. How deep is the deep state? You mentioned the deep state earlier. How deep is it?
Yeah. What do you mean, how deep is it? It seems like it's pretty
much. Tell me about
the
deep state.
Surface.
Now I want to learn about the deep state.
Surface. Research a guy named Kantbot and Ed Berger, and they're fucking doing research mapping it on the fucking surface. It's all on the fucking surface. Look it up. EB Berg on Twitter and Kantbot KB Ultra Zero. Subscribe to their thing, and they're on a Patreon or some kind of thing. You can listen to their fucking podcast, and they're dropping deep red pills about that shit. They're mapping it all. It's on the fucking surface, dude. It's not some kind of crazy conspiracy. They're actually showing it and mapping it on the surface.
Holy shit! I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Ford
I am so
Foundation-
glad.
the Ford
I am
Foundation-
so fucking
the
glad I
Ford
decided to do
Foundation, the
this
Carnegies,
because you're
the
making this the
fucking,
funnest time I've ever had in my
oil
life.
companies and all that kind of
I
shit.
need to
You think-
hold on.
you
Wait,
think
wait,
that-
wait. Please link me your Twitch. I need to sub to you because this is the most enjoyable fucking time I've ever had. You are so
Infrared
fucking
show.
entertaining.
Twitch.tv/infrared show. Or show infrared, I forget which one.
Thank you.
Twitch.tv.
I'm going to sub to you because holy shit, this is the most
Everyone
entertaining
sub to
shit
it.
I've ever heard in my life. Please
Infrared
keep
show.
going.
Infrared show.
Yes, infrared show.
Infrared.
Please keep going. Please keep going. I want to hear more. This is the most entertaining thing I've ever heard in my life.
What do you want to hear? Hear anything you want. What do you want to hear?
Tell me about the deep state. Tell me about Lysenkoism. Tell me more.
I'll tell you about. You want me to, which one? The deep state or Lysenkoism? Which one?
Tell me about the red pill. Tell me more. Just everything. Just keep going. Okay? Just let your heart guide you.
I don't know what you're interested in hearing. You mentioned a few
Just
things.
let your heart guide you. I want to hear more.
Because you lost the debate. Is that why you're trying to?
Yes, I lost the debate. No, please keep telling me more. I'm being educated right now. Educate me. Educate me. I want to hear more.
You can call me a crazy person.
No, I just
but
want to
at the
hear
end of the
more.
day-
I just want to
at
hear
the end of
more.
the day- Based on what?
No, I just
Based
want to hear
on
more.
what?
Let your heart
Based
guide
on
you.
what?
Let your heart guide you. What do you want to talk about?
Okay, let's talk about the fact. Let's talk about the fact that BreadTube are a bunch of fake socialists. BreadTube, bunch of fake socialists, and the fraud squad who voted for Nancy Pelosi. Why? Explain that to me. Why don't we talk about why they voted for Nancy Pelosi again, even though they didn't fucking have to?
Probably because
defeated
every other
fascism,
plausible
they're
option
trying to
was
defeat
probably going to
fascism.
be a
That's why you got to
Republican.
vote for Biden to defeat fascism. Biden fucking won, dude. Why did they vote for Nancy Pelosi? Go.
Sure, because it's probably the most plausible, pragmatic option to make.
Why is that?
Probably because no other candidate that was more progressive could probably make it, and the only other ones that
You
could
can only
probably make it
speak
were
of
Republicans.
pragmatism with a predefined set of conditions of possibility. Whereas, if you're actually a true socialist, like all these people, true progressive, you redefine the conditions of possibility. Of course, everything's fucking pragmatic when you're just on your fucking knees for what's already the status quo in the establishment. The whole point is to build a new people's power. The whole point is to challenge the fucking establishment. Why did they vote for Nancy Pelosi? Go ahead, explain.
Do you believe what? Did you vote? I'm curious. Did you vote in the
No, I don't
2020
vote. I'm not a
election?
cuck. I don't vote.
So you don't vote.
I will
Okay.
vote. I will only vote as my duty as part of an independent organization. I'm not part of an organization right now. That's the only reason I would ever fucking vote. Voting as an individual, individualistic cuckery is for libs. I'm not a fucking lib cuck. I don't go and vote. Why the fuck would I get on my fucking bed and drive to the fucking polls and vote as an individual? What a stupid fucking thing. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm actually curious if you're trolling right now.
I'm not trolling.
So you don't care about.
I'm high energy. I'm a high energy. I'm a
You
high
are-
energy.
you are very
honest,
entertaining.
capital
You are
C,
very
USA
high energy.
2036, one with the sun type shit. You know what I'm saying? We're reviving communism, down with the socialist cucks. You know what I'm saying? We're going viral. Infrared is rising.
Hold on,
and
I'm
you
really
are
curious. Can you wait?
that.
I need you to stand up and show me your chest because you're so high energy. I think you have a fucking Iron Man arc reactor in your chest right now. That's how high energy you are right now. Stand up.
How's
I want
your
to see your
chest,
chest.
dude? Let's
Show
see
me your
your
chest.
Probably
Yeah,
gonna do
look at my
this.
chest. It's so big. Oh yeah.
Exactly, dude. Yeah, exactly. So what is it about? Go ahead. Go tell your point about why they had to fucking do force the vote.
Wait, why they had to do force the vote?
Now, why did they fucking vote for Nancy Pelosi? And why did you guys slander Jimmy Dore and try to shit on Jimmy Dore? Why? Because Jimmy Dore was trying to keep the flame alive for a new people's power and a new progressive politics independently of the fucking Democratic establishment. You tell me why you bred two people who are supposed to be socialists, supposed to be offering some kind of fucking alternative, tried to do a hit piece on Jimmy Dore, accused him of being a fascist, and you were chilling for fucking Nancy Pelosi and the squad's betrayal of the people. You explain that to me, and you keep laughing. Infrared's going viral. You're going to be yesterday's news pretty soon. Keep laughing.
Is Nancy Pelosi part of the squad?
She's part of the establishment, and the squad capitulated to her by fucking voting for her, even after Trump was fucking defeated. What was the reasoning for that? Explain it to me.
Probably trying to keep the most progressive party that's viable in America in power to try to keep the fascistic Republicans out.
What, by the way, it's a fucking race to the bottom if you keep only siding with the most progressive. Guess what, dude? Let's say we live in a Nazi party,
Wait, hold on. Are you an accelerationist? I'm curious. Are you an accelerationist? Do you think if we let fascists take power, then the people?
What do you mean by accelerationist?
Do you think that if we let the fascists take power, and do you
I
think
don't buy
people
that
realize
Trump's a fascist. I think you guys are fear mongering, making shit up. Trump is isn't a fucking fascist. Show me the fascists. There's white supremacists. There are neo-Nazis. As far as I'm concerned, among Trump supporters, they're a fucking minority. And I know they're a fucking minority. I know Trump supporters. I fucking know Trump supporters, dude. I live in fucking Michigan. I know these fucking people personally. They're not fucking neo-Nazis. They're not. So where's the fucking fascism you're talking about specifically? Yeah, you're going to point to me to Charlottesville. I know, because all of these fucking guys from 4chan congregated together. Together and met up together, and it was a big spectacle, big distraction. And the only people who thrive from this fascism mongering are the fucking elites, because they want to scare the shit out of fucking progressives to fucking toe the fucking Democrat Party line at the expense of building an independent people's progressive politics. Make excuses for that.
Are you unironically defending the fucking guy, Donald J. Trumperson, who argued that Biden was a communist and has been eliciting anti-communist rhetoric through his fan base for the last fucking 4 years?
And objectively, he's a clown in the world, and the people are laughing at him in the world, and he corresponds to the decline of American hegemony. You think the people of the world give a shit about Trump? The people of the world give a shit maybe more a little about Biden, because now Biden wants to go to war with Russia. He wants to spill more blood, and Trump was doing the best as he could to stay out of that shit.
Go to war with Russia?
Since you're such a pragmatic utilitarian or whatever, you tell me, Trump had Bolton, all these fucking hawks he had to appease because of the Republican establishment. He was in bed with them. He had to be. Okay. Trump himself didn't really want to get into these interventions. So since you're such a pragmatic utilitarian, who would have led to the spilling of less blood for the people that maybe are a little bit too subhuman for you? You're an esteemed bread tube, true socialist, and all the other authoritarian they're all those type of people. It's just Oriental despots. They don't fucking matter. You're pragmatic, whatever the fuck you said. So you explain to me why it's better for a warmongering hawk to be in power. Maybe Biden will make you feel better, dude. He'll give you little shout outs.
I love Biden. He's going to shout me out on CNN. Biden's going to go on CNN. He's going to shout me out. It's going to be awesome. Oh, I'm actually curious. Define socialism for me.
All you care about is superficial bullshit.
Can you define socialism and communism for me? Just like independently. Like define socialism, then define communism. Do it for me.
Okay. It depends on the fucking context. There is no preemptive written in stone tablet. You have to look at the meaning of socialism based on how it has been used historically. And how it was used in the 19th century was, after industrial modernity, the peasants who were used to having a specific fixed social bonds in the countryside were kicked off their fucking land, thrown on the street in these cities, and there was a substantial loss of a sense of common sociality. So the word socialism intervened to describe this need to return to some kind of common social reality. Just like how now the factory workers, their jobs are shipped overseas, and now there's also this similar type of loss.
Oh shit, you're a protectionist. Nice. Hold on.
No, I didn't say anything about that.
You literally argued against the idea of shipping.
Go ahead. How am I protectionist? Explain.
I gotta go pee. Hold on. Can you rant at my stream for a minute?
Yeah, dude. All you Xanderhal viewers, guys, I swear to God, I'll win you over. I know I'm going to win a lot of you people over. I'm going to win a lot of these breadtube people over. These breadtube people are fucking history, dude. Infrared is the future. Marxism, Leninism in the age of multipolarity and the post-COVID world. I can't even see what you fucking guys are saying. You know what I'm saying? My chat is more powerful than you guys' chat. You're going to see my chat is more high energy, more powerful than you. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Breadtube is done, dude. You guys can't face me. No one on BreadTube can beat me in a debate. No one. And I didn't prepare for this. It's off the top of my fucking head. All your idols are going to come down. We at Infrared, we're like the fucking League of Shadows coming into Gotham City. And y'all think you don't know who the fuck we are. You don't know where we came from. You don't know where we fucking came from, dude. We're taking over this shit. Infrared's rising. Infrared's rising. We're growing at such a rapid pace. And this fucking stream right here gonna propel us into the fucking stratosphere. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it is. High energy, capital C communism will dominate BreadTube. Dominate BreadTube. We're about that high energy, capital C communism. Oh, I'm a libertarian socialist. No, we're a capital C communist. We're 100% Stalinist, 100% Maoist. We 100% learn from the experience of the real communists, not the BreadTube phonies. You hop on board. Rising tide lifts all.
That piss that I just took was in your honor. I want you to know that, okay? That That glorious urination.
Okay. All you
is in
could
your
do,
honor.
dude, is sit there and laugh at me and mock me and be smug and shit. Dude, that's so 2019 and that's so 2010s, dude. The age of smug irony is over, dude. Now we're gonna have real confrontation.
I don't know if
what
you're
I'm saying?
trolling or not. I'm actually like, I can't tell if you're trolling
Listen,
or
listen,
not.
listen. You don't know if I'm trolling or not, dude. You don't know if I'm trolling or not, dude. Your mind is stuck in the 2010s. Infrared is thinking in the 2020s. That's your fucking problem, dude.
I know.
That's your
I'm
fucking
very.
problem.
I still. To be honest, though, you're actually kind of right. You know, I'm actually like such a fucking boomer. Have you ever played the game Minecraft?
You're a boomer. How old are you?
I'm 21 years old.
Okay, you're a baby.
No, I'm a boomer,
You're a boomer?
okay? Because when I imagine
No, you're a little
Minecraft, I
baby.
still think of it as how it was back in 2012, okay?
Mate, you're embarrassing. I don't give a fuck.
I'm stuck in the 2010s, dude. You're completely right. When I imagine I'm still stuck in that 1.2.5 Minecraft version, okay?
For example,
I'm still stuck in the
BreadTube's
2010s. You're completely correct.
For example, BreadTube's aesthetics are what? Vaporwave bullshit? Dude, that's so 2010s. Infrared's
Okay,
aesthetics.
you're actually right. Fucking
Go on our
Vaporwave is
channel.
garbo.
Go on our channel. Go on our
Vaporwave is
channel right
fucking
now.
garbage.
See
dude.
how unique our style is. See how unique our style is. 2020s era. Go on to show the chat our channel on YouTube.
I looked at your channel. Hold on. Let me bring it
On
up
YouTube.
actually.
On YouTube.
Infrared.
Yeah, infrared.
Is there anything else I should add on to that? Because I don't think you're going to come up if I search infrared.
Look up the unknown cultural revolution.
Unknown culture. Look, I even type like a boomer, dude. Look, I'm not a baby. I'm a boomer. I'm a baby boomer. So you've got like a crudely made thumbnail of me. Hold on, am I in there? No, I'm not.
No,
It's
you're
like-
not
think
in
it's
here.
J-
I didn't
think
even
it's
know who you were
JWag.
before tonight.
I think it's Wait, why were you there like the second I went live though? I was just doing a drunk media share stream and you were there the second I went live.
Because my chat told me about you and tells me about BreadTube and it's telling me a lot of things. What's this weak ass shit? Lord Red Brick. Remember the name. Infrared's growing.
Hold on,
Look how beautiful our channel is. How beautiful it is. Look how beautiful it is, our aesthetic. And you're gonna think you're gonna compare us to BreadTube, dude. Look at us. Look at our style. Unbeatable style. Unmatchable vision. Unmatchable style.
I guess that like images you just pulled off of like fucking Google Images are pretty 2020. You got me there.
It's the consistency. We pulled them off from the internet, but guess what? It's what ones you're gonna pull off. It's the consistency. Let me tell you something. This is just an example. It's just our aesthetic style. In every regard, BreadTube is outdated. Marxism, Leninism is the future. Socialism with Chinese characteristics is the model of the future. It has surpassed Anglo-Saxon liberal capitalism. Liberal BreadTube, libertarian socialism is the fucking past, dude.
Wait, is liberalism and
you guys are
libertarian
so fucking
socialism the same
disrespectful to
thing?
Caleb Maupin. Caleb Maupin's a nice, normal guy, and he doesn't degrade himself like how I'm doing, but I'm a fucking crazy guy, dude. And you're not going to treat me
I
like
respect
how you
it.
fucking
I respect the craziness. I'm actually having a really good time. I'm going to fucking follow you on Twitch and watch your streams.
You guys are so disrespectful.
This is entertaining
to
as
Caleb.
fuck.
It was incredible, and he was so respectful.
Wait, are you
Your
actually?
aesthetics are weak as fuck.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. DM me right now. Are you actually trolling? Just DM me, okay? Don't
I'm
just
not
DM me
trolling.
the answer.
I'm not
no,
trolling.
no, no,
I'm
no.
not
DM me
trolling.
the answer. Okay, listen. I know it's like you have to because like people are watching right now and
Listen,
you can't
listen,
you can't
listen.
make it public.
I'm
But
here
like
to
after this stream, I need you to DM me whether or not you're trolling
listen,
because this is like really fucking good. This is like a really good troll.
Listen, Xanderhal, I just don't take myself that fucking seriously. That's the thing. I just don't take myself that seriously. I'm having some fun. I'm entertaining for the chat, for my chat. You know what I'm saying? And I'm high energy, and I don't take myself that fucking seriously. I just don't. Okay? But I'm not a smug irony guy, and that's not how like, you irony people, you act like you're so laid back and shit, but all you do is make fun of other fucking people. I'm somebody who can make fun of themselves, and I don't give a fuck, dude. I'm willing to put myself out here and be a fucking human being or whatever.
Wait,
I
didn't you
I
say-
don't take myself that seriously. I just don't.
Hold on, Lonnie, can you refill my drink? I actually need more alcohol for this. I'm having a good time, okay? This needs to keep on going. I never want to end this. This is so fucking fun. Give me more alcohol. Hold on, I'm actually really curious. You just said you have no idea who I am. You just heard about me tonight, but you keep calling me a smug irony guy. How do you know that? You know nothing about me.
I know because how you're interacting now is giving me this impression. You don't speak to me in a plain spoken way, and you want to entertain your chat. I want to entertain your chat. I'm gonna steal a lot of your viewers, if not tonight, then eventually. and a lot of bread tube. It's just what's gonna happen, bro. I'm more entertaining. People will like me more. Trust me, people will like me more.
I see. You have 535 subs or something like
And
that.
we just started out. How long you been in the game? How long you been in the game?
I've been in the game for like a year.
Okay. We just started going hard, pushing our shit a few months ago. Before this, it was just kind of a laid back little kind of thing. We started pushing our shit and actually going hard a few months ago.
Do you think
we're rising fast, dude? This is like my third Twitch stream. We're rising fast.
Sure.
Don't underestimate it.
Do you think that the I'm actually really curious. Do you think that like the authoritarian leftist stuff is very popular? Like as far as leftist ideology goes.
This is your artificial political spectrum. This is your artificial political spectrum. I'm saying the future is big capital C communism, and yes, looking towards socialism with Chinese characteristics to learn from for America is the future. This lib shit libertarianism, weak soy boy leftism is the past. Okay, people don't appreciate weakness, and all I see in the left is weakness. I just see celebrating.
I agree. I think you guys are the weak ones.
Why do you cuck yourself for Biden and for Nancy Pelosi, and you shit on Jimmy Dore?
Because I think Jimmy Dore is a dumb fuck grifter, and I think that having a fascist in power who is outspokenly anti-communist is probably not the best for socialist sentiments in America.
Listen. You're focusing on surface and you're focusing on labels, okay? Trump is talking about communism because he knows how to manipulate his fucking because it's a scary word in America.
It's 4D chess. It's 4D chess. You're completely correct.
Yeah, but guess what?
4D chess.
But look what Biden's doing. Biden is allying himself with the new wave of rabid anti-communism in Eastern Europe and the Ukraine against Russia. So who's more dangerous? I think Biden's more dangerous in the grand scheme of things for communism's image, if that's what you're getting at. Biden's way worse, dude. It's because outside of America, where the legacy of communism matters way more, Biden is doing way more harm.
I see.
But I don't think the optics of the word communism should define your political positions. I find that really bizarre and strange.
Interesting. So do you prefer Trump to Biden?
Honest to God, I would never vote for the guy, but I'm just gonna be an honest guy with you. Honestly, it was nicer to have Trump as president than Biden right now. But I don't really care at the end of the day. It's not like I'm shedding tears over it. But honest to God, I was never soiling my pants and fear-mongering about fascism, about Trump, like how and he's the most dangerous president. Listen, it's the biggest con of the fucking century what the Democrats did to the progressive wing, cucking them into fear-mongering over fucking Trump. And what has it gotten them to, huh? Where has it got them to? Listen, it looks like this is all abstractions, this is all fascism and stuff, but people on the fucking ground are still suffering. Look what's fucking going on in Texas. What did that fear-mongering over fascism actually fucking do? Biden didn't stop Trump's fucking programs with immigrants, and those kids still are in fucking cages. All that shit is still there. Mm-hmm. Where is the fascism? Decisively and practically, where's the fascism under Trump? What changed under Biden? Tell me.
I'm actually really curious. Who's running Texas right now? Who was running and who was running Texas when the power grid was sorted out the way that it was to be completely?
I'm telling you.
No, I'm asking you right now. Who was in charge?
Okay, it's Republicans. It's Republicans. But you want to know what? Are you really going to tell me if Beto was in power, it'd be different? It wouldn't fucking be different, dude. Stop deluding yourself. They're the same fucking party. They're two wings of the same fucking party, dude. Stop deluding yourself. Two wings of the same fucking party.
I like how you admitted they were Republicans, but you had to move on real quick from that one.
No, I didn't, dude, because you really expect it would be different under Democrats. It wouldn't. And Biden's president, by the way. Biden's actually fucking president.
Hold on, I'm really curious. Can you name anything that Biden has done and any executive orders he's signed since he became president? Can you name a single one?
Not off the top of my head. No, I didn't prepare for this debate, so I can't.
You don't know. All you care about is the optics of these ideologies.
Okay,
you don't know a single thing. One of the first things Biden did as soon as he got into office was roll back tons of the shit that Trump did in regards to LGBT rights here in America. The first one was the transgender military ban. That was the first one that he did.
Well, you really stop
wait,
fascism
do you
there.
think? Wait, do you think Trump? Wait, I'm curious. I'm curious. I'm curious. Do you think trans people should be banned from having a certain job because they're trans? I'm really curious.
Listen, the
how do you feel about
military
trans people?
business, as a
What's
communist,
your opinion on trans people?
As a communist, it's not.
I hate the military too,
place.
motherfucker. I hate imperialism and I hate the military too. I hate it too. I'm
You're
asking you right now, what are your thoughts on
about reality?
What are your thoughts on trans people? How do you feel about trans people being banned by the president from participating in a particular job based on the fact that they're trans? How do you feel about it?
I don't give a fuck who's banned from the military. The military spills blood overseas. Why do I give a fuck about that?
Do you think that every part of the military?
Am I sad? That's like, am I sad that Trump banned trans people
What jobs does the military entail? What jobs does the U.S. military entail? What jobs does the U.S. military entail?
Dude, you're engaging in abstractions.
This is an abstraction. I'm asking you a question. What jobs does the military entail?
Okay. Listen, some jobs in the military aren't directly shooting people, but it's a fucking machine, dude. That's why it's the military.
Exactly.
However, military in history,
we leftists do not have the power to get rid of the military. We do not have that power in the country right now.
But
I do not believe that there is any utility gained from cultivating a culture in which trans people are not allowed.
Red people is not in power anyway. You fucking libertarian socialists and progressives even are not in power anyway. You have no power over fucking anything. So let's not pick and choose our fucking abstractions. Oh, what jobs should they have? Who the fuck are you to say that you're not in power? But you don't have to fucking shill for the military. You don't have to fucking shill for the deep state. You don't have to fucking shill for American imperialism. You don't have to fucking do those things. Because you're not in power anyway, right? But you don't have to shill for them for free. It's not your military.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
You lost the debate. You lost.
Oh,
I'm pissed. This is my competition? You lost, dude. You fucking lost. I know I lost. Can you do a victory lap? I'm eating tendies. I want to hear more. Can you do a victory lap, please? You lost. Objectively, you lost.
Yes, I've lost a bit. Can you do a victory lap? Keep talking. Do a victory lap. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more tendies to eat. Can you do a victory lap for me? I'm going to do a victory lap when we surpass you in followers, subs, and views. That's what I'm going to do. I'm looking forward to it, okay? Can you keep going? No, you just lost this debate. You lost the debate. You said, do you think that trans people should be banned for having certain jobs? A completely abstract, completely irrelevant point. Your shining example of Biden's executive order was some completely meaningless, non-substantive bullshit that had nothing to fucking do with anything. It completely went against your point. You really fucking curious. Take the L. Take the L, dude. Do you think trans people or any like minority group should be barred from participating in a particular job? Or do you think that's like an abstraction? Or do you think that's like abstraction? No, it's completely related to what I'm talking about. You're really mad. I understand. You're very mad. I'm asking you a basic question. I'm in power. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's good that Biden? Do you think it's good that Biden made it so that trans people could serve in the military? I'm gonna make this fucking point. Do you think it's good that Biden made it so that trans people could serve in the military again? Listen. No, I don't. Because you fucking dead two people, you take an abstract point. Well, abstractly, this is my position. So if Biden does it, that means he's doing it on behalf of my abstract position. That's a cook mentality. You're not in fucking power. It doesn't actually fucking matter what Biden does. You're not in power to fucking begin with. Your moral position on what you should and shouldn't be isn't being realized at the level of power you have no connection to in the fucking first place. Do you think a particular group should be barred from having a certain job in our society? Keep repeating it like a broken record and fail to address my actual point. I'm just going to repeat my point. Two can play at this fucking game. Repeat it. Go ahead. Ask me. Do you think trans people should be barred from having a particular job? Had nothing to fucking do with the actual point at hand. I just fucking addressed that point. You're coming at it from the wrong fucking perspective. It's a stupid thing to say what you're saying. I literally asked you if you could name a single executive order that Biden issued in his first few weeks of office. And you said you didn't know any, and I gave up an example, and then you said that you don't care. I'm asking you right now. Do you think society should? Do you think we should have a society?
This is what I said. Let's roll it back. Roll it back. You read to people. Here's what actually fucking happened. You said the reason that we had to stop. I said, where's the stopping fascism? What changed? And you said, well, Biden issued some executive orders. I said, what executive orders have substantially changed everything so profoundly that have we defeated the menace of fascism? And you said Biden lifted a transgender military ban. There's two stupid fucking things about that. First of all, you're an apologist for American imperialism and the blood being spilled for millions and millions of, for hundreds and thousands of fucking people in the Middle East. That's the first stupid fucking point that I already went through. But even the second stupid point is, maybe it's bad that Trump's fucking transphobic, but to say that this is evidence that he's a fascist is a fucking stretch. Is he exterminating people for their sexual orientation? The gravity of the threat is the fucking problem. So we had to sacrifice people's power and our real progressive movements just because Trump banned transgender people from joining the fucking military? Is that the altar upon which we had to sacrifice cultivating an actual independent people's power and independent progressive politics from the fucking Democrats? That's the altar of sacrifice, the transgender military ban? Name something else, dude, because everyone always talked about the kids in cages and everyone always talks about Trump's scary and horrible fascism. You're just giving me little tidbits that aren't substantive whatsoever. None of what you mentioned is justifiable for sacrificing the fucking progressive movement and independent politics whatsoever.
I've got a lot of questions I want to ask you.
Go ahead.
I think the most prescient.
The point lost. You lost the fucking debate. The buzzer sounded. You lost. You evading the point. You want to ask more questions. Go ahead. Please ask more.
I think the most relevant to what you just said at the end of your little rant there is probably, I want to ask you, how do you think that socialists can take power in America? Do you think that, how do we overthrow the Democratic Party and put in place a more progressive party than the Democrats? I'm very curious. How do you think
the first thing you do is you tap into the populistic anti-establishment momentum that Trump was co-opting. You do it rawly. You name the enemies of the people. You separate yourselves from the establishment. And when you distinguish yourself from the fucking establishment, when inevitably the American people are discontented with their establishment, you're going to give expression to their anger. You're going to represent that anger. You're going to represent their will and their feeling and the objective contradiction between them and the establishment. And that's how you fucking win people. Trump won people by doing that. Leftists and socialists and all these fucking people calling themselves whatever the fuck, they need to do the same goddamn fucking thing. The first thing you need to do, the most primordial, simple fucking thing you have to do is don't sound and talk like the fucking establishment. That's the easiest one. Just stop sounding like them, dude. All you breadtube people, all you fucking leftists and progressives, when I hear you fucking talk, you sound like the same mainstream MSM type of fucking establishment bullshit that I always fucking hear every day. In a common sense, intuitive way, you know what it sounds like when you guys talk? Doesn't matter how much you qualify your position with axiomatic and all this stupid bullshit. At the end of the fucking day, you sound like the people in fucking power. You sound like the people in power. You sound like the nerds who rule over the American people. The Bill Gateses, the Jeff Bezos, these fucking cucks who rule the American people. You sound like them. You sound like Mark Zuckerberg. You sound like them. Stop sounding like them is a fucking good start. Start sounding like me, maybe, and you'll get somewhere.
I don't know. I feel like I'd be a lot less popular if I started sounding like you. You sound really unhinged as fuck. You're entertaining. Don't get me wrong. You're entertaining. But you sound as unhinged as fuck.
Just wait. Wait and see how viral I become. Just wait.
I'm looking forward to it, dude. I really hope that you actually end up making it big.
Infrared will change the game.
I hope you go like full on. I really hope that you go like full fucking huge and you start making tons of money and you end up like having a really high production value and I can just sit down every night and watch you rant because holy fuck has this been entertaining. You've unironically tried to argue in favor of the idea of barring a particular minority group from participating.
Oh, is that what I argued, you fucking piece of shit? You fucking liar.
You don't want to. You don't want to admit it, but you absolutely have.
Hold it back and see if that's what I fucking argued. You fucking liar. You little chicken shit slanderer, trying to fucking cancel me, put words in my fucking mouth, you little snake. I see you for the fucking cuck and snake that you fucking are, trying to put words in my fucking mouth. You're trying to paint me as transphobic. I said I don't give a fuck what they do and who they bar from the fucking U.S. military, because the U.S. military all it fucking does is engage in bloodshed and
True.
murder of mass children.
True.
If you're fucking utilitarian, you'd fucking understand that. Go roll back the fucking clip and see where I said, oh yeah, I actually abstractly think trans people should be banned. Of course, I don't abstractly think that trans people should be banned from anything. But guess what? If life was made of fucking abstractions, we wouldn't be speaking about any of this in the fucking first place. It wouldn't even fucking exist. If life was just full of abstractions and there was no concrete material fucking reality, what are we even fucking talking about then? I don't think in terms of abstractions like you do. I don't think in terms of abstract positions like BreadTube does. Infrared is about something else, about concrete and material reality. That's why infrared's gonna rise and we're gonna leave BreadTube in the fucking dust.
You think you guys are gonna outgrow BreadTube, huh?
Yes, we do. We're gonna not just us. Us and the whole Tankie sphere and the whole MLs. You laugh at us now.
Okay, you're trolling. No Tankie actually calls themselves Tankies. Wait, you're actually trolling. You're actually trolling. No Tankies.
No, I'm gonna explain to you,
Tankies think
Master
Tankie is a
I'm gonna
slur.
explain it to you.
You're trolling. You're trolling. You went mask off. You're trolling. You can't call. You have to stay accurate when you're trolling.
Tankie is not a slur. Tankie's not a slur. Infrared reappropriated the term as a positive thing because I do feel like Tankie's better than Snowflake. What are you gonna call me, a lion? You're gonna call me King Kong? Yes, I'm a fucking Tankie. I love that fucking turd Tankie. We need to be Tankies and not snowflakes. So I'm down with that term. Second of all, you BreadTube, this is where you fucked up. You defined and predicated your entire position based on supporting Biden in the fucking general. Now he's in charge and you got what you fucking want. You're going to own up to that.
I supported Bernie in the general, dude.
Or not. Whether you distance yourself from that or not, you're owning up to the fact that Biden won. That's on your fucking shoulders. So a new left is going to be born now of people, including many ex-Trump supporters, who are discontented with the establishment. Who do you think's going to thrive from that, huh? Name a demographic, name a specific splinter of the left who you think is most primed to inherit the true and authentic anti-establishment momentum that propelled Bernie to power and significance in the first place that you guys were dick riding off of. It's going to be MLs, dude. It's going to be MLs. It's going to be Tankies. And yes, we're not perfect. We're not all perfect, but we are the fucking future. China is the future and America is the past. You want to know who is China? Marxist Leninists. I agree a lot of MLs good and sophisticated as the Chinese, but you know what? That's the future. So what? Yes, there's a lot of rich Trump supporters and a lot of wealthy Trump supporters. What's your fucking point? Are you trying to make a point?
No, I find it really funny when people try to claim that Trump's election came from some kind of economic anxiety.
It was. Where do you live? What country? Which state do you live in?
I lived in Florida. Now I live in California. I lived in California.
Okay, that's why. That's why, Mr. California. I live in fucking Michigan. It does fucking come from the economic. It does fucking come from ordinary working class people. I know that firsthand. Anyone who tries to fucking deny that is lying. Mr. California.
I'm really curious. Why are you calling me Mr. California? I've lived here for 7 months during a pandemic when I can't go out.
You came from Florida and California, and you really think you know who Trump supporters are? Dude,
wait,
you don't fucking know Trump supporters.
Wait, are you one of those? Wait, are you one of those people that think that California is like Southern New York? Or sorry, Florida is Southern New York. Florida. I misspoke. Do you think Florida is Southern New York? Do you unironically think that? Have you been to Florida? Have you been to Florida and drove 2 miles outside of a major city? Have you been to Florida and drove 2 miles outside of a major city?
Okay, which part of Florida are you from?
I am from the middle western part of Florida, literally out in the middle of nowhere.
That's fine. But let me tell you something. I don't know how it is there, but I'll tell you what. If you're from the Midwest,
Trump signs in every corner is how it is there. I'll tell you that.
Okay. And it was a wealthy place?
No.
Okay.
No. So out in the middle of the country. My point that I'm trying to make is that most Trump supporters.
You don't think that those people are very numerous?
That what people are very numerous.
Who are like that?
Who are like what?
Who are like the people you were describing?
Who are rich?
Who are ordinary working class people?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you're not denying that?
No, of course not. I think there are plenty of working class people that are
I'm speaking about them.
Yeah, I think anti-communist sentiment has affected a lot of working class people to make them think that communism is the enemy.
Ideology. I'm not speaking in terms of ideology.
What do you think is the number one enemy of communism?
What is communism? You're speaking in abstractions. I'm talking about.
What do you think is one of the biggest historical and current enemies of communism.
Other leftists.
I like to think that the strongest and most dangerous enemy of communism is fascism. Just like Hitler tried to take out the communists. Hitler tried to engage in a genocide against Jews and communists. Plenty.
The Soviet Union
Wait, you don't think that fascism is an enemy of communism? Is a threat to communism? I think that we have to destroy fascism so that we can bring people into communism. Fascism has always been the enemy of communism. I think communism is the glowing, beautiful enemy of fascism, which is a danger to the people.
Let me talk.
Go ahead.
Speaking in terms of abstract ideology, historically speaking, after the Soviet Union defeated the Nazis, half of fucking Europe became communist. So yeah, and then another thing is, during the Cold War, fascists were just mercenaries and fucking gangs who were hired thugs of American CIA imperialism. They were never, ever, ever a major threat in the very belly of the beast. Like how you guys are trying to fucking say. The true enemy was always liberalism. It was always Anglo-Saxon liberalism. Has always been the true enemy of communism. Who funded Hitler? Huh? The British elites funded fucking Hitler. Who supported Hitler? The Anglo-Saxon and British elites. They've always been the fucking enemy of communism. They hid behind the Germans. They used the Germans to attack the Soviet Union. That's how that played out.
Wait, is it like Hydra? Like Hydra was using the Nazis in order to achieve their own ends?
No, it's a well-established fact that international Anglo-Saxon financiers and industrialists funded the Nazis. You deny that?
Industrialists and financiers and sure, yeah, there was class collaboration in Nazi Germany, of course.
Well, it wasn't. No. I'm not talking about the Chinese bourgeoisie. I'm not talking about a bourgeoisie.
I'm not talking about that either. I'm talking about Nazi Germany, class collaboration.
British and American elites supported Nazism. Do you know that? You know about the businesses plot that tried to overthrow FDR? Do you know about Smedley Butler, who exposed it? Do you know about Prescott Bush, who was involved in that? All real historical on the record, by the way. The American ruling class wanted to institute a real fascism in America, but you want to know who was behind it? It wasn't populists like fucking Trump's people and shit. It was Prescott fucking Bush, someone who is deep into the contemporary deep state. His grandfather or his grandson, George W. Bush, was the fucking president, and he's an establishment guy. His fucking grandfather, Prescott Bush, wanted to overthrow FDR and the businessman's plot. That's where the source of fascism was. The establishment. It's always been the fucking establishment, the deep state, and all this fucking bullshit.
Where?
It stretches back decades and decades.
Wait, what do you think the establishment was 100 years ago?
It was. What do you mean? Clarify. What are you asking?
And here in America, what do you think the establishment was 100 years ago? 50 years ago, even. 50 years. We'll bring it even more recent. 50 years ago. What do you think the establishment was here in America 50 years ago?
What do you mean?
You say it's always been the establishment. What do you think the American establishment was 50 years ago?
What was it? What do you mean?
What ideology do you think the American establishment was 50 years ago?
So it's the ideology you're asking for.
Of course.
Okay. It was Anglo-Saxon liberalism, just like it is now.
What is Anglo-Saxon liberalism? What's the difference between Anglo-Saxon liberalism and I don't know, fucking Asian liberalism?
Oh, I don't know. Just the fact that it actually has its historical roots and origins in England. Do you not know that or no?
No, I'm very aware with the state of liberalism.
And since I don't think in terms of abstract ideological ghosts and abstractions, we're talking about real historical continuities and a real development of history and a real ruling class and a real elites. We're not talking about ideological abstractions. Yes, British liberalism represented the English ruling class and the British elites. Yes, it did. And that transferred onto the Americans. America was an heir to England in some sense. Then there was tension between the American government, which was more protectionist, insofar as it was authentically and truly American. And the British were supporting the slavocrats, the South, against protectionists like Lincoln, because the British were in favor of the free market liberal system, and the Americans were more protectionist. Going off on a fucking tangent. But these British
I'm really curious. Do you think... Wait, the slavocrats. That's actually a really good meme. Hold on. Do you think that... tell me about the slavocrats.
They were supported by England. You don't know that?
Of course I know they were supported by, well, they were almost supported by England. They actually
No,
weren't
they weren't
because
supported by England.
No,
the
it wasn't.
English ruling
Nope.
class
Nope.
supported them.
Nope, you are completely wrong. I've done a lot of research on the Civil War. There was actually very close. England relied on a lot of exports from the South due to their agriculture, exports of cotton and whatnot. But when Lincoln announced that the war was in favor of ending slavery, Europe and especially the UK backed the fuck out. And they're like, no, we're not supporting the South in that war. Nope, we're not fighting. We're not going to fight in favor of slavery.
They didn't do it officially, dude.
They dropped the fuck out.
Officially, because that would amount to a declaration of war against the North. So they never crossed and went that far. But the British ruling class and the British press were overwhelmingly pro-South. Marx himself wrote, I think in the New York Tribune, about how the British press was lamenting the ladies of New Orleans who were being degraded and who were being humiliated by the Union soldiers, the aristocratic women of New Orleans who were slave owners. The British press was lamenting it. Marx himself was writing about that. Marx and Engels both. So you know what I mean when I say the British were aligned. Who
else did Marx write to?
Are you implying? Oh yeah, he probably wrote for some English newspaper. What's your point?
No. I'm really curious. Is there a particular figure in America that Marx might have written to?
Abraham Lincoln? Well, he didn't actually do it personally. Marx signed a letter to Abraham Lincoln on behalf of the International Working Men's Association. I'm not quite sure that he actually wrote it himself.
Did he? I'm actually really curious about that. Here, tell me about it.
The International Working Men's Association wrote a letter to Abraham Lincoln expressing their support for him against the war against the South.
Interesting, because right here I have a letter from Marx to Abraham Lincoln. Sir, we congratulate the American people upon your re-election by a large majority. This was shortly after Lincoln's re-election.
Let's confirm that's the source.
This is actually right here. Look, I have it. It's on Marxist. Dude. It's right on Marxist.org, my guy. It is right here on Marxist.org.
Written by Marx, 1864. Okay, that was a different thing. I was thinking of the fucking International Working Men's Association letter, which was a fucking letter that he wrote.
No, it's okay. So this was CIA propaganda.
My bad.
No, it's okay. The source is CIA propaganda.
No,
I
wait,
looked into
international...
it. No. My chat told me the source is actually CIA propaganda. I got it. It's okay. It's all good.
No, okay, fine. That was your gotcha. Your one gotcha this whole thing, and I fucking beat you in every other thing. It was this stupid trivial point.
No, you got me.
Fucking matter. Doesn't even fucking matter. What's so decisive about this point of yours you're making? Yeah, I got it wrong. I thought the International Working Men's Association drafted it as an organization, and Marx just signed it. I didn't actually know Marx personally wrote it. But nice gotcha, dude. So you got me, dude. You really got me. What a great point you just fucking made. What's your point? What is that supposed to reveal and express?
You're fucking crazy, but very entertaining.
I'm fucking crazy. Why am I crazy, dude? I said I think. I never even said I was certain about it. I said I'm pretty sure it was I don't fucking know. I didn't know fucking for certain. Why does it matter though? What was your point, dude? What point were you trying to fucking demonstrate? What kind of gotcha is that? You're so fucking weak, dude. On every substantive point, I've defeated and demolished you. And you brought up some trivial, fucking meaningless thing to test my knowledge, dude. You had that ready at hand as some factoid. It's in the back of my fucking mind, dude. That's not the first fucking factoid that's on my fucking mind. Is who specifically
I'm gonna be real with you, Chief.
I
literally just Googled Marx and Abraham Lincoln. That was the first thing that came up, dude.
No, but you were trying to get me with a gotcha. You said, oh, who did Marx write to, huh? And you had this specific factoid in mind, thinking this was some gotcha, even though it was such a trivial and stupid and meanemless point.
I mean, you try to make the argument that like there was this like insane amount of support for the South. There was
among the English ruling class. Yes, there fucking was, dude.
Yeah, and then they revoked their support the second that Abraham Lincoln...
They revoked their official support when the going got tough. Yeah.
No, maybe. Not when the going got tough. When that cringy-ass liberalism came along and they said that the war was to end slavery, and the British ruling class was like, we don't want anything to do with that.
Bull fucking shit. They demonized Lincoln as like the czar. They compared Lincoln to an authoritarian czar who was harming the free trade international liberal system with his protectionism. Yes, they did fucking compare Lincoln to a tyrant and a Caesar. You're a fucking liar, dude. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Holy shit! I don't really go into history that much, but I somehow know more than you do. They put back their support whenever Lincoln made the Emancipation Proclamation. They announced the war was to end slavery.
Find the political cartoon where they compared Lincoln to the Tsar as these new big strong authoritarians cracking down on the liberal free trade system.
Hold on, I'm really curious. Wait, I'm really curious. Can you tell me about the capitalist Jewish space lasers while I go pee?
When did I mention Jews?
You mentioned the elites in the deep state, so I'm curious.
So what does it have to do with Jews? Why did Jews have to take the blame for the Anglo-Saxon elites?
That's fine. You're not willing to bite down on the Jew pill. That's fine. Okay, I know you're like a nonsensical type. No. Can you just tell me about the elite space lasers?
I'm not hiding anything. I plainly see no reason.
Explain the non-Jewish elite space lasers. Just explain to my audience.
Why are you associating Jews with elites? I didn't do that. Why are Jews elites? The majority of Jews were not fucking elites.
Okay, that's fine. You know what? That's fine. The reptilians then. Okay, maybe you don't believe in like the Jewish conspiracy theory, the reptilian Democrat.
Why would I believe it?
Elitists.
Why would you assume I believe it?
I don't know. Maybe, you know what? It's completely unreasonable for me to believe that. Maybe I shouldn't have thought that at all.
You shouldn't have. Apologize.
I'm very sorry. You have beautiful facial hair. All right, go pee. Can you keep ranting in my chat while I go pee?
Go pee.
Okay.
Lord Redbeck, I hope you get on Vosh's stream. God help him if I go on his stream. Your idol is gonna be demolished. I'm gonna keep demolishing these idols, and is what it is. Is what it is. Is what it is. You really think your bread tube idols can defeat me? Dude, you don't know who the fuck I am. Just because you've never heard of me, you haven't heard of me, but you will hear of me. You will be hearing more of me because we're taking over the game. Just like Bane when he entered Gotham City with the League of Shadows. That's the type of shit we're on. I don't even know what Xanderhal's chat is saying. Y'all are probably talking so much shit. It's okay, guys. You'll get used to me. You'll get used to me. Trust me. You don't like me now. It's okay. It's okay. You'll like me. You'll like me soon. I don't even know what the fuck he's saying. You'll like me soon. Please debate Vosh. I will debate Vosh. I will. I'm reading his chat. Ha ha ha. He thinks he's Bane. Yeah, dude. I'm taking myself so seriously right now, and I actually unironically think I'm Bane. How about I'm having a little fun? Why don't you chill the fuck out? Stop taking yourself so fucking seriously, dude. We're on the fucking internet. We're on YouTube. Shut the fuck up, dude. Please debate Destiny. I don't care. I'll debate Destiny. I'll debate fucking anyone, dude. I'll fucking debate anyone. What's your channel, bro? Infrared on YouTube.
Yeah, make sure to sub to him. He's gonna need it, okay?
Dude, we're gonna grow fast. We're gonna go fast. We're gonna grow fast. You understand?
I'm really curious. Like, I actually have, like, this is a genuine question. This isn't a gotcha. This isn't like a gotcha or like a meme point or anything like that. I'm actually genuinely curious. How popular do you think like Tankie ideology is in America, in the West, generally speaking? In America, I'm not going to speak for the West. That's a different story. Germany has Die Linke, and France probably has got some shit going on with Mélenchon and shit. So I'm not going to speak for continental Europe. But yes, in the United Kingdom and America, tankies are non-existent. I know, but infrared is seeing into the future. We're filling a niche. We believe we're going to be the future. We're not yet, though. You're right. Do you want to drop like a link to your channel in my website chat? Because people are asking for...
I don't know your website, and I don't have an account on your website.
Oh, it's just xanderhal.com/. You just literally click a button that says log in with Google, and it like you'll make an account right away, and you can just.
I don't want to give you my Google account. Sorry, I don't trust you like that.
Okay, I understand. Okay, but like I'm very drunk right now, but can I get like very like leaving like the meme like argument stuff behind? Can I get like very genuine with you for a second?
Yes, please. I've been waiting for that.
So, I love socialism. I don't know if you and I agree on definitions of socialism or communism. I one of the biggest issues that I see right now in our political system is we have this big problem, right? Where it feels like a lot of social, like Democrat politicians do it too, of course. I'm not like a fucking Democrat shill, right? But a lot of particularly Republican politicians are continuing to perpetuate this almost McCarthyist fear of communism. And I see that as a massive threat. I think we need to oust the fucking Republicans for being even closer to politically relevant. And I think we're actually in the process of this right now. If I don't know if you've noticed, but we've seen that the Republican Party is tearing itself apart right now between like the fucking insane Trump supporting part of the Republican Party and the arguably less insane, like establishment dumbfuck part of the party. And they're ripping themselves apart. They're splitting their voter base. And I think that is fantastic for us as like leftists, because then we can get to the point where you can start radicalizing liberals and like people who may be sympathetic to our cause to potentially voting for someone like Bernie Sanders, potentially voting out someone like Nancy Pelosi in favor of someone who's more progressive. But the problem is right now that we're dealing with this unbelievably conservative, anti-communist, like literally believing Joe Biden is a communist, contingent of Americans. And I see these people as being a huge threat to us being able to move Americans more left and being more willing to unite and vote for somebody like Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
Or someone more progressive.
Okay, well, since you're being genuine, I'll be genuine too. We can stop the entertainment and the charading, and I'll respond to that in the most reasonable way I can. In my view, the perspective you're coming from is extremely idealistic. What I mean by that is that you're attributing significance to the hidden ideological meaning of phrases and words like communism and stuff. But I actually think words like communism take a back seat to the actual sense and meaning given to them by the ones calling themselves communists. When people hear the word communism, yes, there's a lot of fear mongering of what communism means as this scary, horrible thing. But if genuine leaders leading a new people's politics, a new progressive independent politics separate from the Democrats, like what Jimmy Dore is trying to kickstart, are helping the people, leading the people, and giving expression to the people's objective and material sentiments and position, they actually won't care who's calling themselves a communist or not. They say, if that's a communist, maybe I'll be a communist too. So in my view, the phrase and the word communism takes the back seat to the actual meaning given to it as expressed in concrete reality by the ones using the phrase. So I'm not worried about McCarthyism and all the fear mongering about communism, because the plain truth is that most Americans just don't know what communism means. They don't know. And I'm not saying that in the sense of they don't know the true definition that BreadTube knows. No offense. I'm not trying to insult you, because we're being civilized now. I'm trying to say that they don't actually know what communism meant, even in the Soviet Union and China and the communist states. In those countries, that phrase meant something so radically different in relation to people than it does in America. So I don't want to knock on an open door. I think the American people are actually fundamentally open to the meaning of communism, because the meaning of communism can't be reduced to the word communism. It must be reproduced by learning from the examples of the communist states and how they were able to acquire the support of the majority of people in their own country. You learn from that and you apply this in America, and Americans won't care if you call yourself a communist or anything else. They'll say, if that's what communism means, by God, I'll be a communist too. And by the way, I don't believe in creating a new politics from scratch based on ideology. We observing the objective and material developments in actual reality, such as the shifts changing among the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, as epitomized by the whole spat with people like Jimmy Dore. And as communists, I would support and be on the side of people like Jimmy Dore who want to create a new party and who want to move away from continually deferring to the establishment Democrats on the basis of fearing Republicans and fascism, because that's what leftists have been doing for so long. But the only reason why Bernie gained a minimum of relevance is because he was willing to risk. He was willing to risk the defeat of the Democrats in the name of putting his shoe in the door for this new progressive politics when he challenged Hillary Clinton in 2016. Now, one could have easily made the argument that Bernie Sanders is going to scare away potential voters with scary words like socialism. But because Bernie had the courage to risk the loss of the Democratic Party, that proved he actually believed in something deeper than the established political forces that actually exist. And that's why Bernie even got anywhere anywhere to begin with, and that's why BreadTube even exists in the first place, which was which is an aftermath, a result of Bernie Sanders' thing that he opened up in 2016. In my honest view, you don't begin from ideology and what's the quickest way to make communism palatable to people. If you support the established, because the source of people's problem isn't that they have a problem with the ideas of communism. People are associating the Democrats, the Republican constituency, if it still has one. We don't even know. This is all up in the air now. But insofar as the Republicans' constituency has the constituency you're aware of and I'm aware of, because you're from that place in Florida and I live in Michigan, so we know who we're talking about. Insofar as the Republicans have this constituency, right? It's because that constituency views the Democrats as part of a corrupt coastal elite and establishments. What communists need to do is give expression to their material interests, and then everything will follow from there. The meaning of communism must be redefined, not scholastically, not by changing not by changing the textbook definition and arguing about that. The meaning of communism must be redefined by giving new meaning to it by concrete example and actual reality. We must act, speak, and even think in a popular-minded way so as to lead by example and allow communism to reacquire relevance by what they call in Maoism serving the people.
I can completely respect that. Now that we're in like genuine mode, I can completely see where you're coming from. My main issue is, and I think you can agree with me on this, I think the Democratic Party has played a part in this too, of course, like a significant part, but I feel like it's, for the most part, the Republican Party has played a huge part in stigmatizing communism with people. Anything that is even close or reminiscent of communism. Like, I'm really curious, have you seen how often people in like the Trump area have accused Biden of being a communist? Have you seen that?
Yes, I'm familiar with the extent of the Republican anti-communist fear-mongering and rhetoric, although I'm not so sure it's directed against communism as much as it's directed against the Democrats. Now, the reason Republicans get away with doing this is because they're basically saying that Democrats, while pretending to be normal, moderate liberals, are secretly communists. And communism is an unknown. Americans aren't familiar with what communism is. So if you're accusing the Democrats of being this unknown, that people's imagination runs wild, right? So to me, I'm actually not afraid of the extent of anti-communist rhetoric by Republicans, because I know the only reason they get away with it is because no one's actually giving concrete expression and meaning to the word communism. If people succeeded in doing that, there wouldn't, people would see plain as day that the Republicans are wrong. The communists are not the ones behind Joe Biden. The communists are precisely the ones against Joe Biden. The communists are the ones who want to help the people and serve the people and create, in the words of Caleb Maupin, a government of action for the American people, addressing things like the coronavirus as they've done in China, addressing crises like what's going on in Texas, mobilizing resources and people for the benefit of all. I think if people saw what communists actually mean in practice and actual concrete reality, what Republicans are saying wouldn't actually matter. The problem is that communists, as far as I see them, and I don't want to insult you now that we're being civilized, I don't want to insult you, but as far as I can see, as far as the people calling themselves communists, and breadtube types and that type of thing, they define themselves extremely abstractly and scholastically, promising a new society where there's no money, and they're just defining it negatively, basically. And it's also a kind of hipster thing, like, oh, I'm a communist, but your intuitive understanding of communism is wrong. Why don't you read my definition? Where we're coming from at Infrared, and I hope I can speak for our collective, we're coming from a perspective where we're saying, no, we want to change what people's intuitive sense of communism is. We don't want to say to people, your intuition of communism is wrong. Let me give you the real university-educated definition. I want to say, let's speak to people's intuitive sense and work with that and change that intuitive sense. That way, we won't have to actually care about the true definition of communism. Because as Marx made it as clear as day, communism is not some ideal society we strive for. Communism is the real objective and material movement. That's what communism means. Communism is serve the people. Communism is a force in reality that merely represents the sublation of the present state of things, the establishment, all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much where I'm coming from with that.
Yeah, I feel like my main goal, and I feel like this is regardless of whether or not they realize it, we've seen like a lot of people talk about how their political journey has led them from being like maybe a bit more conservative or even alt-right, more towards communism, and they come through these like more liberal bread tuber types. And I feel like it's, even if you disagree with these like bread tuber people, and I want to be very genuine here. I'm not trying to go for gotchas or anything, but even if you disagree with the rhetoric or the beliefs of these bread tube people, I feel like if you look at most people's political stories online, you'll find that like 99% of the time they went through like a liberal YouTuber like Destiny and then found themselves getting into like communism. And I feel like it's one of the biggest things we need to do is to, one, pull people away from being like, I know you disagree with characterizing them as fascists, but away from like more of a populist fascistic kind of idea, like immigrants are the reason why our current material conditions are as bad as they are. Pulling those people away from that and more towards realizing it is the bourgeoisie that is keeping the working class down, that is causing us to be where we are. It's not immigrants and brown people coming over from the fucking border. I feel like that even if it's discussing non-economic issues such as like immigration, trans rights, LGBT, BLM, stuff like that, I feel like these have their valuable characteristics in moving people over. And our main goal right now needs to be trying to reach these anybody really, but most people that are involved in politics and the politics sphere right now are mostly American, you know, especially after Trump. A lot of people got into politics, especially left-leaning politics, because of Trump. I feel like we need to pull these people more towards the left. I don't know if my rhetoric is kind of off right now because I'm very drunk, but
No,
I feel like we have to pull these people away from this like this weird belief that they have that like their problems aren't caused by the capitalist ruling class, but instead by like immigrants taking their jobs, you know?
Yeah, we disagree about the fascism thing, but I 100% in good faith know what you're talking about. You're talking about right-wing reactionary views about immigrants, which are vaguely anti-establishment, by the way. We know, you're aware of that.
They mask themselves that way, though.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Trump is very Trump.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, Trump is very establishment.
Yeah.
From like everything I've said.
Of course.
Yeah,
he's in bed with all the Republicans and all those people. Of course, I agree. But nonetheless, they think themselves subjectively to be anti-establishment. Is what I was trying to more get at. Well, my issue with if I can try to summarize your point here, the idea is that we must push them left. And in doing so, they must begin a journey of some kind, right? First the right wing, then they'll pass through liberals, being liberals a little bit maybe, and then maybe we can prod them further and further and push them further. But I have an issue with this idea of pushing people further to the left in general, whether it's Biden or whether it's right-wingers, because to me, this only views the political spectrum horizontally. This is the best way I could put it. To me, this isn't actually how it works in reality. It's not that because this only works in reality if the essential reason why people identify with the political views they do can be premised on abstract political and ideological terms. But I think there's a more fundamental material reason why people become associated with reactionary anti-immigrant views and all those kinds of things you're talking about. And if you can tap into that more essential reason, distill it, and give it more clarity, you can preserve anti-establishment sentiment while successfully winning these people over to communism or socialism or something like that. It's about distilling the essence of why they fall into reactionary views they do. Because, my view about Trump and this kind of stuff is that Marx in the Communist Manifesto wrote about all kinds of different socialism. There's reactionary socialism, there's feudal socialism, there's religious socialism. In a sense, this also is a kind of reactionary, vain socialism. And the whole point is, guys, you're going to fail to take down the establishment. Look at what happened with Trump. Trump failed to do it. He betrayed you. He was in bed with them. The more essential thing to me isn't that these people actually hate immigrants and hate women and hate gay people and transgender people. It's that they have come to encounter all of this as epitomizing this ugly, hideous world that they do fundamentally are alienated from and are estranged from and despise. So it's about giving clarity and distilling this fundamental contradiction and alienation in a more successful way than reactionary ideologies are able to. We don't have to think in terms of like push them to. We don't have to have them pass through stages. In other words, is what I'm trying to say.
I understand that. I have to go pretty soon because I'm very drunk and I probably need to fucking end stream soon. But I want to say that, like, I understand where you're coming from. Okay, I don't agree with like the characterization that you've put forward of Trump, and I don't agree with like the idea that like BreadTube is this like liberal establishment supporting type thing. The thing that I'm seeing a lot of right now is that the Republican Party and reactionary ideology, which is distinctively anti-communist and anti-socialist, they seem to try to divert people's attention, just as you said. I feel like this is the argument you were making, away from the real problem, which is the bourgeoisie, the capitalist ruling class, diverting people's attention more towards like minorities that are like immigrants, whatever, that are taking away people's jobs or whatever the fuck. At the end of the day, I feel like a lot of people's antagonism against minority groups does come from some kind of economic alienation. But that economic alienation does end up at the end of the day contributing to a more, I guess you would refer to it as liberal, view of minority groups in America. And I feel like a lot of trying to deprogram these people from this idea is like a very important first step to getting them on board with realizing who's their real enemy, the ruling class.
Yeah. I listen. In good faith, here's how I'm going to translate your point. Basically, we can be radicals and have all kinds of strange ideologies we want, but at the end of the day, it is a kind of mainstream, I guess, liberal view that, for example, there's an acceptability of LGBT people and racial minorities. All of these are kind of a mainstream liberal, a normal position. So I get what you're trying to say. We can't just replace that. But one of the ideas we have at Infrared, and which others have, is that we need to create not only a new left, but in a sense, a new center, a new normal. We need to give expression to a pro LGBT, pro racial minority, pro women politics that is at the same time fundamentally distinct to the opportunistic ways this progressive politics is supposedly given expression by liberals and the Democrats. In other words, if we can not only preserve these mainstream, very mainstream progressive cultural positions, but also give expression to them in such a way that they are at the same time anti-establishment and preserve the fundamental contradiction that gives rise to reactionary views, without simply telling the reactionaries they have to deny this initial contradiction. If this can be done, a new kind of center, then the goal must be not simply to build something that's to the left of the Democrats, but to build a new pro-people, anti-establishment specifically center, a new center of some kind that it will be a platform to allow us to have progressive cultural positions, but in a new way. And let me simplify this, right? In Marxist mumbo jumbo, you basically have this idea. There's the bourgeois feminism and there's the proletarian feminism. There's the bourgeois pro-LGBT and then there's the proletarian kind. Now, they both appear similar because they're officially pro-women and pro-sexual minorities and pro-racial minorities, but actually they're fundamentally different in the way that they're given expression. You know, feminists like Alexandra Kollontai, for example, and Clara Zetkin for example, she was founded International Women's Day. Actually, they are feminists, yes, but they are fundamentally, profoundly different type of feminists than the bourgeois feminists of both their time and our time. So there's a difference between uh, a pro-people, anti-establishment progressive politics and the one that prevails, and we must make this a new normal to challenge the establishment, basically. We must make a new normal baseline beyond centrist liberalism. We must have a centrist communism.
I completely agree with that, but I think we have like different ways of going about that. My main goal is we have to first destroy the right-leaning Republican Party in this country so we can make Democrats be the new right-wing party. If Democrats are the new right-wing party, we can move further from there. If Democrats are the new right-wing party, and that was it, like Republicans gone, Democrats, these neoliberal Democrats are the new right-wing party, we can start to move people more further left because they're going to start to realize this neoliberalism bullshit isn't achieving what they think it's going to achieve. We can start to move the Overton window more left. That's one of the biggest problems I have in America is how right our Overton window is. The same goes even for the UK and many Western countries over in Europe. There's a big problem where the Overton window is so far right, it feels really hard to advocate for like in a serious, more like pragmatic sense, like when it comes to electoralism, when we actually are voting and affecting change in the government itself, to move these parties more left when there is still a comparatively far right party still in existence and still viable to get elected.
Well, I just think that this perspective, with all due respect, is a little bit framing things in terms of abstract ideological type of political compass positions. And my view is that once we focus our attention on the material essence of these political difference, we'll see that I don't actually think it's possible to destroy the Republican Party and make the Democrats the new right wing. I think if the Republican Party is destroyed, another party will come and replace it to fill that vacuum. And maybe in a sense, the reason I'm kind of hesitant right now is because I don't actually know if the Republican Party is already destroyed. I don't know what's going on with it. It seems like a lot of things are realigning and changing as we speak. But the fundamental thing for me is that we don't even have the power to do that if we wanted to. What we do have the power to do is use our small range of possible intervention into the political sphere to build an alternative to the Democrats and the Republicans alike, to build a new center. Because if we make ourselves foot soldiers for establishment Democrats, we may think abstractly this is some grand strategy, but we are handicapping our ability to realize the independently mediated and conceived fruits of that strategy, which requires an independent type of power, right? If we have a strategy that involves acting on behalf of the Democrats in order to fulfill some further aim, you're spending time away from creating the independent basis to be able to, when all is said and done, challenge the Democrats in the first place, when all is said and done. That's the issue. We are limited as socialists, as progressives, as communists. We are limited in our human ability. And what little we can do, in my view, should be directed not to serving the Democrats, but to building an independent basis of some kind.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It feels really it feels like we've got this big problem when it comes to this like you said before, you think a new party will come to take the place of the Republicans or whatever right-wing party there is, and I want that to be the Democrats. I want to make it so that the right-wing party in most, like for example, we can even extend this across all of the West, right? And we're talking more specifically about the West here because this is the main consumer base of most of our content. I want it to be so that the Republican Party is a completely irrelevant, gone, no one votes for them, whatever, right? The Democratic Party is now considered the right-wing party now, and we've got a genuinely significantly more left-wing party now that opposes the Democratic Party as being the previous
Yeah,
like
yeah,
standard for the Republic. And the same goes for like the Tories and whatever and Labor and all that.
yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like this is one of the most like stressful things for me because I feel like besides like the really like if we get into the nitty-gritty like status stuff, we agree on what needs to be done now
Yeah.
very
Well,
similarly, but we get caught up in a lot of infighting, and the right doesn't do this as much, and it's something that upsets me a lot is how much the left does this infighting on very niche issues. When in the short term, at least, we need to be uniting to fight against certain right
yeah.
now threats to our ideology.
All I would want to say is that if the Republican Party represents a reactionary position, I think those reactionary positions, even if they're assumed under the name of the Democratic Party, I don't see what difference it makes. I think in order to push a country left, you don't appeal to labels and superficial political abstract positions. You have something like, for example, we can't replicate this practically, but it's an example of trying to illustrate the point I'm saying. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union, its very existence pushed everyone left. The Republicans were left wing compared to today, and the Democrats were too, extremely left wing compared to today. Just because the Soviet Union existed and it was this alternative. In order to rearrange the political spectrum and redefine the political spectrum, uh, you have to assume some type of novel position that relates to the objective and material essence that defines people's relationship to politics. When you relate to the essence in a new way, it will push the form along, is what I would say. And the second thing about the hostility specifically between us, I hope you don't take it too personally. Yeah, I got personally very heated and caught up in the excitement, and it's entertaining and it's like WWE and it's fun. But I think the main source of my hostility was that when I initially typed in the chat, um, I was just upset that I was banned. You know, that's pretty much why uh, I think why I escalated it so far. But since you have very kindly and very graciously decided to engage me in a genuine and human way, I see no reason why not to return the favor. It's just that a lot of people tend to be very dismissive of us, and they don't treat us in a human or genuine way. And a lot of people also want to cancel us. A lot of people just think we shouldn't be tolerated. But if people treat us in a genuine way, in a human way, of course we must be human beings. You know.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Like the first part of this debate was very fun. It's a good time, and the WWE kind of like blood sports stuff is fun. But at the end of the day, like the reason why I got into this whole political thing is because I enjoy. I've always wanted to be a YouTuber, and I enjoy talking about what I talk about. But I also want to affect meaningful change in the world, and I feel like the right is so efficient at getting together and like everything from libertarians to full on neo-Nazis and stuff like that are so good at coming together and getting behind a single goal and achieving what they want to achieve. But the left isn't nearly as good at that. And it's something that worries me greatly.
Well, on a positive note, I guess if it's positive, it seems like the right is very much in disarray now, and a lot of people are looking for new alternatives and new ideas after Trump. And to be fair, the right do have their share of infighting that I've witnessed. Um, but yeah, I think infrared, we basically just want to define ourselves. We want to bring something new to the table, right? If anything else. And if people treat us and disagree with us, it's completely fine to disagree with us. If people treat us with respect, we will treat anyone who treats us with respect. We will return the favor. It's only when people begin to disrespect us that we will maybe get a little bit WWE, you know?
Yeah, I understand that. I guess just from content creator to content creator, if I'm to give to it a little bit of advice when it comes to online content creation and building your audience, there's a certain level. Like I know it's cringy when it comes to politics, but in regards to content creator advice, optics is very important. if you're trying to build an online career, you do have to worry about optics. You do have to worry about how you look, regardless of whether or not it means that maybe you have to sacrifice some of the principal beliefs that you hold. If you want to be efficacious and putting forward your message, you do have to focus a lot on optics, because people's first impressions of you really do matter.
Okay, I appreciate your advice. We are very new to this. This is like one of my 12th stream or something. So, yeah, I appreciate the advice. We are kind of newbies to the game. And I understand I'm a little bit ridiculous, but I want people to know I don't actually take myself that seriously. I'm just having some fun. And I know how the internet works. You know, I know it's just how you get memed to oblivion, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it's just good fun, you know.
Yeah, it was a good time. I appreciate you having me, talking to me and everything like that. I'm very drunk right now. This stream was initially just meant to be like me doing a tier list of like leftist content creators, and then me getting drunk and doing like media share videos, which is basically where like people can donate to send me videos to watch on stream. And I do this every Friday where I just get really drunk, so I'm hammered right now. But I do appreciate you talking to me, and I know at the beginning it was like very spicy, but I try to keep most conversations I have very productive. So I'm glad we're able to like wrap it up with this. But is there anything else you want to say before we wrap things up?
Infrared's a completely brand new channel, so if you're interested, I don't know how to say it on YouTube, but on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/showinfrared. Our Twitter is twitter.com/showinfrared. And yeah, I guess that's all.
Alrighty. Have a good one, my dude. I wish you luck in your future endeavors with online content creation, everything. And I hope you have a good one. I'm going to go watch some funny videos submitted by my fans.
Okay, it was a nice conversation. See you later, man.
Alrighty, have a good one.
You too.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
That was really fun in the beginning. I really do feel like when it comes to leftist unity stuff, like if we can like cut through.
What do you think, guys?
It
was a fun stream.
Dude,
this was a 9-hour stream.
Very important.
It's 12, dude.
Positions that we all seem
I was trying to fix my sleep schedule too.
I memed around with them like a lot in the beginning, but like I am genuinely.
Oh shit, dude! I wasn't even paying attention to chat.
Something that I actually value.